Hello everyone, my name is Mitz. Here we are back at Higurashi When They Cry. So Keiichi Maebara has everything needed for his murder plan. He knows the exact time and place of where Tepe Hojo is, Sadako's uncle, is going to be. He can lure him out if, like, the uncle is not an exact time and place he planned it to be. He has a weapon that he's stashed away outside the schoolhouse where he can just grab out of sight. With a festival going on, no one will be able to see him. No one would find it too suspicious because of, like, his past experience and, like, going to a baseball game. A lot of people would figure that out and realize that he was part of a big plan. There was even the whole, like, small thing that Keiichi mentioned of him, literally he was also mentioned by that baseball player as well. So technically he's kind of a small celebrity and people can link him to, like, oh, he has a sudden interest in baseball. Or, like, you know, he changed his mind after, like, all that happened. He has a lot of things going for him right now. And plus, he's focused on making the crime unfindable without a beginning. Which is honestly a great, just way to, that's a great analogy to put it. Also, just looking through the tips menu again, just to make sure I didn't gloss over it. The guy who killed Sadako's aunt was, he didn't exactly confess to it, or, like, anything like that. It just seems like, during, like, the arrest of, like, having illegal drugs in him, the information about the crime, or at least information surrounding it, got slipped out of the culprit's mouth, and that would tie them heavily to it. Whether or not they were the culprit or not, they were definitely on the scene or heard about it from someone else. Which means they were a related party or hiding the culprit, like I mentioned before, or they were really the culprit. Which honestly, the nuances, but the specifics, like, never hurts to check. And just thinking about all the parallels with Keiichi and Satoshi, it just means that I can finally just say, Satoshi is also the busiest middle school on the planet. He's done so many of the same things that Keiichi done, all in a year's worth apart. All before he went missing. Oh boy. Sunday. The fireworks I heard before noon were probably to announce the opening of the festival. And the weather certainly wasn't festival weather. It was cloudy. The television forecast is calling for possible downpours starting this evening and lasting until around midnight. Oh my gosh, the butterfly effect has changed so much that even the weather is now going to complete just tundra downpours. Oh boy, when's the tornado gonna come? Oh boy, why is this epic music then? Okay. Foreboding. But as long as it wasn't raining at the moment, the festival would go on. The festival had to open, or it wouldn't begin. The Furude Shrine grounds were probably decorated beautifully for the big performance that only happened once a year. Many paper lanterns were hung up, all in the auspicious colors of red and white. The sound of electric motors, the stalls, the voices of kids running around. There were happy families watching them, smiling. Today was the festival of Wantanagashi. Was everyone already partaking in the festivities? What about Sadako? Had she forgotten her days of suffering just for a few moments, while smiling that brilliant smile she hadn't in so long? This would probably be the longest day in my life. It would be a day I would remember vividly for as long as I lived. I told my parents I'd go to the festival this evening and lounge about during the early afternoon. We may have lived under the same roof, but they couldn't help being surprised at the deviation from how I usually spent my time. Glancing at my parents at the corner of my eye, I went to the front door. I tied my shoe just a little tighter than normal, as they expressed the firmness of my resolve in those knots, and just to make sure that your shoes are kept on you and you don't leave no trace behind, besides footprints. When I decided to murder Sadako's uncle, I was in such a state of excitement I almost went crazy. And when I was planning out the act of a murder, which went directly against all the morals fostered in me thus far, I was in such a state of calm I almost thought I lost my emotions. And then, yesterday, when I learned Satoshi had made exactly the same phone call as me, I didn't know how to describe the muddled feelings I had then. And now, entering today, right now, I lacked all the emotions I possessed until now. To make a simple analogy, it was the kind of feeling you might get right after you wake up, when you're still half asleep. You don't feel anything very clearly. I had no anger towards that man for the violence he committed against Sadako. nor did I feel sadness towards or sympathize with her. I felt no discontent towards my friends, who had just waited and watched, never reaching out to her with any help, and no nervousness or fear towards the day that had finally come. Yes. Right now, you could say I was in the best possible condition for carrying out a murder. Get rid of those pesky emotions right now, okay. When it came down to it, I'd probably need to let my violent emotions take control here. But right up until that moment, I would be like an insect. I would slowly, surely and silently move towards my one objective, and then, when I had my prey, I'd attack like a bullet. Like acting like a hive mind, where your mind is completely blank? Okay. There was no emotion in that. Just the creeping mindsets insects possessed. A sort of sneaking feeling was just the best. I would kill Sadako's uncle like he was a worm. I had to laugh a little at thinking that way, thinking like an insect. Tug. I tightened my laces one more time and walked to the door. Okay, bye, Mom and Dad. I'm gonna have a fun time today. I'm gonna go to the batting cages. That's gonna be working at quite a sweat. I brought the shovel out of the front storeroom. I would need to dig the man's grave. The shovel was a convenient one made for camping. If I twisted it like so and split into 3, I could easily hide it in my bag. Oh, one of those. Ooh, nice. And if you mentioned before you camp a lot, then it's not gonna be that it's not gonna be that suspicious then. I twisted the shovel and dismantled it. And even though I'd done it countless times before, I had trouble for some reason. Like I was suddenly clumsy now. I knew why. It wasn't because I was nervous. My weak-willed self deep within me was hesitant. I knew that the act of dismantling the shovel was the first step I'd take to becoming a murderer. Ugh. The last twist was conspicuously difficult, but finally submitted before the strength of my determination. The area around Sadako's house was outside my circle activity, but even just riding my bike in the middle of the day like this might seem suspicious to an observant person. I definitely want to avoid meeting and talking to someone I knew. With that in mind, I chose the route to my destination carefully. I didn't mind going the long way around. With how long this day would be, I could never be too careful after all. And if anyone brings the whole curse thing, you can just almost play dumb, unless the gossip went all around because you're an outsider, you don't know anything's happening. I mean, what was it? Your friends didn't tell you anything until Satoshi had to be brought up. Still, I was fortunate not to run across anybody on my way to the planned site of the crime. I wasn't superstitious at this point, but it was a good omen. The place I would dig the hole was in this grove, a little further into the woods. Oh boy. I was worried I might not make it to the same place before, since there were no signs to guide me. I arrived there smoothly and as expected. I took another look around. Not even a hint of human presence. The air was a little bit damp, but it was comfortable in the cool shade of the trees. I took the disassembled shovel out of my bag and began skillfully putting it back together. Then, I set the tip of the shovel into a soft-looking patch of ground and pushed on it with my foot. The shovel would split into the earth if I put some strength into that foot. The act of doing so seemed awfully like the point of no return and made me hesitate. I was just digging a hole with a shovel, but it made me gulp hard. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. Let's do a countdown. Get it done on the count of 3. Okay? Alright. 1, 2. I couldn't do it on the countdown. It's like just sticking the shovel into the ground. I had to count down 5 or 6 times. Damn, I'm just digging a hole. This is pathetic. As I thought that, I put strength into my heel like I was stepping on something unpleasant, and split came the sharp noise. It was only soft at the beginning. Roots and stones quickly got in my way, informing me just how hard it was to dig a hole big enough for a person. No decent person would ever come here anyway. Maybe it would be enough to cover him up with some dirt. Every time a naive thought like that came to my mind, I bit down on it with my teeth and dug even harder. I've dug enough now. I could hide him like this. Every time I thought that, I would go down to the hole, grow disappointed at how shallow it was, return to digging. You're very committed. With this much dirt, I guess you can also use dirt to, blind the uncle then. And the shovel will be, I guess, another makeshift good weapon to, like, bash a brain in. Okay. The thin layer of sweat on my brow eventually formed into drops and fell to the ground. My back was even worse shape. My damp shirt adhered to my skin, and it felt so disgusting. The things I couldn't stand the most were the mosquitoes. Maybe they were attracted by the scent of my sweat. The white and black striped mosquitoes would cling to me whenever I let my guard down. It was hot. It was disgusting. I was sticky. I was itchy. All those uncomfortable feelings surged through me in waves. Damn it all. So what? Are you telling me to pack up and go home? Is that it? I hadn't yelled at anyone. It was me talking to myself. Me telling myself something. Why was I feeling this way? Digging a hole all the way out here. Huh. What benefit would digging this hole give me? What harm would there be in not digging this hole at all? Wait, in the first place, who ordered me to dig? Huh. Wowee. A bunch of sentences which, on their own, seem weird. But a possession? When I thought it over, maybe ever since grade school, even before that, my whole life had only been doing what other people told me to do. I didn't mean it was somehow constrained, living a life just based on the commands of others. And that's another parallel, actually, with Satoshi. He was always polite and listened to what adults told him to do. And it's what's happening here. Okay. I didn't mean it was somehow constrained, living a life just based on the commands of others. I didn't mean I was too lazy trying to find my own road in life. Metaphorically speaking, yes, it was like a road. I mean, you can also still drive off of it. But also someone paved a way for you to follow. I'd never been particularly physically fit. I didn't hit puberty very early. If all my classmates and I got in a line, I'd usually be in the shorter end. My scores in jump rope competitions and marathons were the very picture of average. It wasn't like the captains of the dodgeball teams would have a passionate rock, paper, scissors contest to see which would get me. During those kindergarten and grade school years, it felt like someone was only worth how fast they grew and how fit they were. Looking back on it now, it's really uncomfortable for me. Oh yeah, I remember that. I was the fastest person. I was the fastest kid in those days, and I was popular for those times. And immediately when that whole metric went away, back to loner. Oh well, I wasn't particularly talkative to people though. The thing that turned all that around was just a few words from my mother. Keiichi, would you like to go to a cram school? A little better grasp what you're learning in school. It'll be more fun. Yeah, cram all that into your brain. It's for the fun. It's very fun. Just cram it down your ear into the brain. So many books. So many books. The very first test I took at a cram school was kind of like a game. It was a lot of fun. It wasn't like the test with the same exact problem dozens of times in a row. Every question had a picture to it. Almost like one of those puzzle books that came with manga and magazines. My studies at school had been like this. It would have been way more fun. Huh. Several days later, I went to the cram school again with my mother, the enrollment paperwork. Mom and the person at the cram school had a really long, heated discussion, so I accidentally dozed off and missed most of what they said. But I clearly remember one point. Mom had made a loud groan, surprised at something. By 61, do you mean his average score was 61 points? No, not at all, Miss Maebara. The deviation from the mean of all our cram schools across the country is 61. Deviation? He's showing extraordinary numbers, even on a simple intelligence test. First, let's say that Keiichi Maebara-kun is extremely bright. Keiichi? But he doesn't have very good grades at school. He's average marks on his report card. B's, C's, D's. Some kind of mistake? Oh my, oh my god, oh god, actually, holy shit. Oh my god, that's actually kind of demeaning. I think that's the exact opposite I had. Oh my god. I was the quote-unquote gifted child. I guess I can understand the basics really well, but then I stopped caring after a while from, learning more complicated stuff. Well, I wasn't interested in that wheelhouse or not. Oh boy. My parents are egging me on the inverse way of this. Oh boy. Oh boy. Sending that, inferiority complex straight into the brain. Oh my. Is there some kind of mistake? We cross-checked with several tests as well. We learned some very interesting things as a result. Maebara-kun is extremely weak when faced with questions that don't have any meaning. They don't have any meaning? Wait, what does that exactly mean? Like, if there's no point to it, like, to the question, like, is he good at, like, just literature and stuff like that? Like, trying to find a good meaning into it or something like that? He just has no interest in simple, dull questions that don't have to do with everyday life. So anything besides that, no. So even if he doesn't know what 2 plus 3 is, if you told him he had 2 apples, then got 3 more, he would understand that sort of question? That's right. Yeah, okay, just in the way you're putting it. If you put into him, I guess a story form, it's basically just what it is. That's what technically a lot of people are like, anyway. And usually that's how my brain works the best, honestly. Just putting into some, like, story or event cycle. Although I didn't really like history too much. That's right. For example, instead of telling him to draw a flattened, foldable cube, what if we asked him what a die would look like when cut open? If we did that, he can answer beautifully. The person from the crayon school showed her a page from one of the exams I took. It was a paper with questions about construction. Construction questions were unusual, so they were really cool, weren't they? In this question here, it asks to draw an unfolded regular icosahedron, a shape with 20 faces. D20. We rephrased it and asked him how he would cut out a piece of cardboard to create a 20-sided die. Keiichi-kun drew the answer as though it were easy. This is not something an average child can do. It's literally just rephrase it and they understand it perfectly. But just the way how you put it down to larger than life words, possibly, yeah. I feel like my mind is more poetic anyway. A lot of my writing goes to that, so I can definitely see that. Everyone has little strengths. So I'm trying to see, like, okay. He's good at... what's a good way how to label Keiichi's, I guess, talent, then? Just put into other words, then. If it's put into an interesting way, or something that actually, like, relates to, like, people's, I guess, normal lived experience, or something like that, or something, fresh take on something, then it's easier to discern, instead of, like, if it's the same boring questions over and over, the brain just shuts off, and he just stops caring. It doesn't want to put effort into it. Is that what it is? Keiichi, have you ever made a die with 20 sides from magazine extras or anything? What's that? Dice only went from 1 to 6. I never even considered before this test that there were die with more than 6 sides. So it's fun to imagine what kind of a shape a die that would went up to 20 would have. If I had a die like that, I could win at snakes and ladders against anyone. So I immediately wanted to make it. Finally, I entered cram school. Huh. There were only 4 students in the class they put me in, which is called Select. I don't know if there's only that many people when, like, I guess you didn't, like, hit it on with them. Make friends with them, then, of course, it was lonely. Oh. It was the highest class, and some of my classmates were in lower classes. Oh boy. And when I remembered how much better they had done at things like dodgeball and the 50-meter sprint, I felt happiness well up within me for the first time. Even if I wasn't as good as them physically, I triumphed over them in other ways. It was fun at first. The more I did, the more I was praised. My teachers at school suddenly started pampering me, and it felt good. My parents were satisfied too, and I enjoyed seeing them satisfied. The more I listened to my parents' commands, the more fun things got. That did happen, didn't it? I grinned dryly in self-deprecation. Because, well, my studious lifestyle didn't end up lasting very long, huh? It's only at the beginning I enjoyed learning more and more. I gradually got along less with my friends there. My classes were behind when I was learning in crayon school, and eventually stopped respecting the teachers, given that they could put me to sleep with their lectures. And well, I was a disagreeable brat who bragged a lot about how much I knew, and the ways of the world which let me remain in that state of ecstasy forever. I would do as I was told, that I go above and beyond their expectations, and then they praised me. I was happy for that. The cycle repeated itself, like the wheels on a bike. I thought moving forward like that was how life worked, like a bicycle. When I moved to Hinamizawa, I realized just how inadequate it was. Some things happened, and we started saying how moving and getting a change in atmosphere would be nice. Then my father, he had a place that he liked, and he'd gone to a few times to draw the nature. He started saying that he wanted to bring his atelier there. With me in blank amazement, they decided to move to Hinamizawa. And after that, I met them, didn't I? They are actually giving you a lot to, I guess, challenge yourself with and have fun with as well. The first day to transferring here. Oh, we're literally actually getting all the backstory how you first got here then. Oh, cool. I went to the classroom with a teacher. I thought it would seem pitiful for her to bring me in there, so I placed my hand on the door before she could, slammed it open, and set foot into the room. Clatter. The thrilling, powerful way I opened that door was none other than my own determination to try doing my life over again. And then, within seconds, the determination took a hard counter to the face. A blackboard eraser fell on me. Hello. Plus, there was a huge rock inside. It was a supremely painful trapstone set up. Oh, come on. Sadako was already beating me right from the first day I transferred. That frightened me. I was bewildered. The class was surprised too. I wasn't just surprised the students in the class were all in different grades and were different genders. It's because the room felt completely different from the schools that I knew. As I spent more time with them, my surprise continued to grow. This fresh sense of surprise had never left my life, even to this day. Every day was a fresh new surprise. I never had a single boring day since coming here. The days were lively, spent with the other club members. We played Old Maid with cards with scratches in the back to cheat. We let all our passions go wild during our games. No. We went all out as regular participants in tournaments at the toy store in town, and many, many more things. Recently, during those times, there was the bento competition. It was then. That's when I saw an unexpected side to Sadako. Thinking back on it, I only ate dinner with her 2 nights. It was such sweet, gentle time spent, and warmed my heart remembering it even now. I realized that Sadako was pretending to be stubborn and firm, and how brave she was. Part of her heart was always waiting for Nini to come home, and I vowed to become her Nini. Sadako may have been nagging and overly critical, but she knew how to take care of someone. But though it might have seemed like she was taking the lead, it was actually her way of depending upon another person. Even as Satoshi and Sadako's lives as siblings were confined by their uncle and his wife, they were still warm, sunny days. This is actually kind of nice to sit through and see. When did those sunny days all go wrong? What mistake was made? Lamenting tragedies of the past would do no good. I told myself that so many times, but I did anyway. Keiichi, isn't that why you chose your own path? To take back that life? Nobody ordered you to do this. You decided it on your own. You don't desire anyone's praise for this. You thought it all through yourself. You'll carve it out yourself. And you'll do it now. This wasn't a path I could see very far down. Not like the road parents or society could offer. It was a narrow path, dark and utterly distressing. One for which the next step would always be shrouded in darkness. But that disheartening path would keep going on forever. It was an unlimited path, and there was nowhere I couldn't travel. The kind of path only available to those able to imagine where they wanted to go, veering off the road and going down to the roads less traveled. Yeah, that poem anyway. It wasn't the way how you're supposed to interpret anyway. There's a bunch of dirt paths, and like there's a secret path for the trees and the forest, a cliff which is actually another secret path, stuff like that. Don't be ashamed of breaking from the brightly lit, paved road. Venture into the darkness of the forest. In fact, feel proud that you found your very own path to walk. And I hadn't discarded the paved road either. Once I achieved my goal, I would go back to that bright road, and then I spend those average sunny days of my leisure. That is, until Toro comes and arrests you for not having the permit from riding the bike properly, and just takes hold of it and imprisons you for it. Crunch. Crush. When I realized next, the hole had grown so deep I couldn't believe it. Did I dig all this myself? You were just lost in your own little world. I think digging this much is enough, right? I put my shovel into the bottom of the hole. Now drag the body here, throw into the hole, and cover it up with dirt. Even if it took me time to camouflage by putting plants on top, it would all go much more easily than digging this hole had. Yeah, mostly just pushing the dirt in. I glanced at my watch. It's almost evening. I hadn't realized it. I may not have felt the time passing, but digging a hole this deep must have taken quite a lot of time. Around this time, everyone just, like, the Demon Club friend group, the DCFG, like, literally just go there around sundown. That was the general gist of it, anyway. They all, like, meet up there and then head over. It's like around this time would be when they all meet up, usually. But I could see on a slanted rock nearby and wipe the sweat from my brow. Now, once it got a little darker, I go get the metal bat I hid in the schoolyard. Then, I make the call to lure him out. And then, I do it. The number of things I need to do to reach that moment were dwindling. I felt that moment closing in on me much more keenly than I did the passage of time. I didn't have any hesitation, but I still felt that a contradiction, like you're having, like, cognitive dissonance. Every step in this process, I had a few chances to hesitate, to turn back, to let myself lose my nerve. Yeah. So far as everything's going to premeditation murder, and yet every chance to do it, this is not ever going to be a self-defense or, like, hard the moment, like, murder at all. Having to endure those million temptations and wait for them when the time was right was an indescribably slow and painful torture. I had thought myself acting all weak because of that, but I stopped midway through. This was okay. It was fine. I could detest the abnormal act of homicide as much as I wanted, and it didn't matter. I wasn't going to be a cutthroat killer after today. I would pass through this strange day and go back to the world I was in before. If I fell to the level of a psychopath who thought nothing of killing, I wouldn't be able to go back to my old life. So this was fine with me. You're just fine with either way. Okay. I didn't have to feel ashamed at hesitating to kill, because I was human. It was so funny to me that I'd be the bearer of Oyashiro-sama's curse the same time I was aware I was human. Well, people are half human, half demons, so. I exhaled slightly and stood. I concealed my presence, and sharpened my senses in all directions, to search for anyone around but me. But, what if they're actually below you? Oh my gosh, he was hiding below you! He knew you were gonna try to kill him. Ambush! Reverse ambush! Okay, let's go. One step at a time. I will walk my own path. A path no one had forced me to walk. Let's do this. Keiichi Maebara. The cicadas made an annoying fuss. The chorus covered up the suspicious noise of me breaking twigs underfoot. And the chorus filled the path far ahead of me, letting me know I would be alone for some time. The cicadas blessed the path I walked, encouraging me with every last ounce of strength they had. It all depends whether if Mio literally just says oh no, Keiichi's like just tells that to like the friend group, and other adults like hear that, or just they talk about that like while they're walking around and all that. The sky was far above. In not even an hour, the veil of night would draw near, and the sky would be tinted with dusk. By that time, the Higurashi would let me hear their chorus in place of the cicadas. When that happened, would everything be over with? Would everything have ended? I said something along those lines when I left Sadako's fate up to a public agency. But this time was different. I would do it. I would carry it out. I would end it. It would all be over very soon. Everything would end. Yes. When the Higurashi cried. That whole flash and the whole like timed text. Okay, that was cool. Holy shit. I was expecting that at the end of the first section for this chapter. This is technically chapter 10. So literally this chapter is gonna be literally whatever how the murder, whether it's gonna actually happen or not, is gonna be carried out. The next two chapters of the aftermath. There's nobody at school. Oh, you literally took all the time to make the hole and then you went to get the baseball bat. Okay. Someone actually took the baseball bat. They realized it. They noticed it. Like, I couldn't hear the playful voice of children. This was the first time I'd seen the school with such a lack of human presence. Still, I quieted my breath and looked around, not wanting to be unprepared. Yeah, even like this music's back is now just very both foreboding and determined. That's actually both emotions getting from it. It works nice here, actually. It had gotten darker outside. It was almost like my eyes could see more clearly now. Plus also, there's also the whole thing thinking about it, everyone will also go to the festival because they make sure not to be part of the curse, even besides the whole fun of festivities thing. Everyone wanted to be part of the festival so they can get, like, target the very last minute. Like that. At least for those people who are superstitious in town. It had gotten darker outside. It was almost like my eyes could see more clearly now. I had made absolutely sure of my safety, then walked to the heavy construction machine I'd hidden the metal bat behind. Had a tinge of worry, a premonition that someone had found the bat and hid it somewhere else as a prank. If that happened, would I take that as an opportunity to desist? There's that, or you could also go back and pick up the golf club, which your parents have at home. There's also that. That's also your choice. I'm not encouraging. If it really wasn't there, then the sensation of chilled metal, it was still here where I left it. It hadn't run away. Satoshi hadn't run away. He waited here patiently. For me. Sorry for the wait, Satoshi. It's been a long time coming. You prepared for this? Through the metallic touch, Satoshi grins at me in my mind. That's what I should be asking, I did this last year already. You should be more worried about yourself. Right on, Satoshi. Let's show him a bad time. I don't think Satoshi was behind the ant's death, though. If it was, then he definitely did a good job of, like, I guess, hiding it then. Someone just miraculously, took the blame for it, though. It doesn't entirely make sense, though. Satoshi's back got lighter and lighter, and fit into my hands like it was being absorbed. It didn't feel wrong to swing this, either. I could move it around so naturally it was like an extension of my own right arm. Of course it felt like that. Satoshi and I were holding one bat together. Next, I'll make the call to lure the man out. Payphone time! Let's go! Leave no trace, if you can help it. It wasn't a bad time for it. My friends were doubtlessly parading happily through the stalls. I hadn't considered where to make the call from. Oh, the one thing you didn't plan out. My house and Sadako's are pretty far apart. If I called from my house, I wouldn't make it. Couldn't I use the school phone? But as I thought, the room was locked up and I couldn't get in. Shit. I'm so naive. Should have at least figured this part out. Man, the plans are crumbling together. I couldn't call him, and just for that, was today all over? I'm sorry, Satoshi. And just like cursed my own naivete, a miracle occurred. Ring, bring, portable telephone on the way on a trolley. A bicycle came to the schoolyard. It was a familiar middle-aged man. Oh. The one from the Forest Service field office. What? Why? Wasn't today Sunday? Was he here to pick up something he forgot? Are you planning to hide, or are you gonna ask him? Anyway, the forest officer went around back and felt around his pocket, then locked the door and entered. You know, this is actually all the same time if you didn't notice you, this feels like oddly perfect. Cause, oh boy, if like a call was made inside the school at the time, and only this guy walked in, I guess you could say the police then blame him if they trace the phone back to him. That, or people notice you walking into the school. It's almost too oddly perfect. The best possible coincidence. It had to have been Satoshi who saved me. The male bat, through just my contact with it, told me this was a chance I couldn't allow to slip by. The sections for the forest office and the school were neatly separated. I felt the man head into the forest office's storehouse, which is so far in the back, students weren't allowed into it. The door didn't match its fittings well, so it didn't close all the way, and the gap in the door opened slowly as if to lure me in. I took a deep breath, and went inside. Just that off-kilter, just, like, lower perspective of that, just fencing, that was so cool for that section. I tiptoed along, silently, and stealthily, and made it into the teacher's lounge. That was the only place with a phone. As I held my breath in the teacher's lounge, I heard the Forest Service officer walking back over, and the back door clattered shut and was locked. I glanced at the window of the schoolyard, and watched as the man got on his bike like nothing had happened, and ran out the school gate. How are you planning to lock the door afterwards? If it's a deadbolt, then there's no possible way unless you plan to go out a window. Then how would you lock it afterwards? Either way, you're gonna leave a trace and someone, like, left the door open, and then probably that guy would be left to blame. The school once again emptied, becoming deathly silent. I waited for a bit to make sure the silence was the real deal, then reached for the telephone on the principal's desk. I fished Sadako's house's phone number in my pocket. Yes, the number in the class directory for Sadako had been the one from their house now, where she lived with her uncle. I touched the dial with my fingers, then thought for a moment about what to say exactly when he picked up. I'm trying to think now, because even when the phone call that, like, when Mion picked up, she was drunk, so I guess I can't say it for much, but, she didn't really think it was Keiichi, even though they talked a lot, even though it does, like, he's, like, 12 or 13. Maybe that's something to consider in mind, of, like, there's a lot of, I guess, feedback in the phone or something like that. I don't know, it's been a while since I never used a rotary phone, so I don't know if it's, like, the same way. But I do know, like, just using phones nowadays a bit muffled and all that, so maybe you'll cover over the sound of the voice, maybe. Despite how many times I'd gone over it in my head last night, now that I had my finger on the dial like this, it sort of seep out of my mind like a cracked bucket leaking water. Simple would be best. More importantly, to say it straight, and not sound suspicious. I counted off 3 heartbeats, and spun the dial. Hello, house delivery. The call sound. Would Sadako's uncle pick up? Now of all times, the hope that he wouldn't pick up, the feeling of doom, the knowledge that I couldn't save Sadako if he didn't, rolled around in a vortex. Hello? It was the voice of a grumpy man, like he'd just woken up. He picked up. Hello? Say your name so I know you're Hojo, you asshole. It'd be terrible if I got it wrong. I made up my mind, had all the initiative on my side. Here we go. This is the Shishibone Okinomiya police station. Am I speaking to the Hojo residents? I changed my voice, but did he really think I sounded like an adult? Would he believe I was the police? Yes. Mrs. Hojo. We currently have your daughter, Sadako Hojo, here with us. What? Sadako? What'd the brat do? You fell for it. I could tell by how tense he was that he didn't doubt my words. I can explain the particulars once you arrived here. Would you mind coming to the station right away? Right now? I already took a bath myself, so I don't really want to go out like this, though. What? You don't want to come because you already took a bath? Yes, right away. Right away? Jeez, man, what the heck did Sadako do? I'll explain once you're here, sir. I'll be waiting. Thank you for your assistance. Ah! 1 second. I don't know where the police station is. Where am I going? You moron. What the hell? Have fun. The Okonomiya police station? I don't know where it is either. Aren't you from around here? Doesn't he live? Okay, well, I don't really know everything in my town too well, honestly, either. Why don't you know that? A greasy sweat came to my body. Eventually, just as with a choke, he spoke. Oh, next to the fire station, right? That's pretty far. Oh, thank goodness he remembered it on his own for me. I didn't care where the police station was, so long as he left his house to get there. Then we'll be waiting here. Oh, wait. Who am I speaking for once I get there? What is your name? On top of that, you want to know my name? Make him a fake one right now. I don't know I can't think of a well-known, I guess, popular, English, like, a Japanese first name, but Watanabe. Watanabe-san, let's go with that. Just leave your goddamn house already. My bashi. Excuse me. That was close. I almost thoughtlessly told him my real name. Meant to change the last syllable of it, but... I put the saber down like I was running away. My fingers are trembling. They're soaked with tepid sweat. You just hung up immediately. Okay. I was just nervous with the phone call. With that call, everything had finally been put into motion. I left the school. It was locked before, but it was easy enough to open from the inside. You're just gonna leave the door open like that then? But I couldn't lock it again until I left. In terms of being thorough, I wanted to lock it, but I couldn't waste time going back to the teacher's lounge looking for the key. I needed to rush back as fast as I could and ambush him. Even if you took the key and, like, locked the door, wouldn't that mean you have to open a window or something to put it back? Or just, like, you know, put the key somewhere? Either way, it'd be really suspicious. And again, I guess it would all be blamed down that guy who just entered that day, since no one else can, like, verify unless they account for someone who's not at the festival at the time. I zoomed back to the scene on my bike. If Sadako's uncle got out of town before I got there, everything would be over. He learned there was no one at the station named Maebashi, and things would get pretty messed up. As I returned at full speed, I passed a family wearing utikas. They must have been on their way to the festival. Many people in Hinamizawa knew my face, though I didn't know theirs. And just passing by them like this made me uneasy. I did generally come around here, so those living in the area might not have known much about me. It didn't matter right now. They had your face. They can figure it out. I need to get back as fast as possible, control my breathing, to ambush that man. I hit my bike in a thicket and picked up Satoshi's bat, which I just left hidden in the shade. And then I held my breath, waiting to see someone. I wondered if he still hadn't gone here. Do you still remember what he looked like, by the way? You saw him once, you got a glimpse of him, you know what he looks like. I swear to God, if he accidentally, like, hits someone else in the head, oh boy. Or maybe he went out right after the phone call and passed by here already? I couldn't figure out which it was, and was set upon by indescribable impatience. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. Even if he came here already, he passed by here on the way back, right? The end result would be the same. It wouldn't change the fact that he'd die. Yeah, but then if he already left back and went to the Okamiya station, gave the name Maebashi, then they would have something to look for if they decided to remember to, like, write it down. It wouldn't change the fact that he'd die, especially if he felt suspicious about the weird, I guess last syllable, you didn't say your name properly, Biz. He'd probably be coming on his motorcycle. How would I stop him then? I think it would be best not to think too hard and just hit him as he passed, or beat him out of his seat. The path was made of pebbles. If I hit him as hard as I could and made him lose his balance, he couldn't be able to help falling. And then the chorus of the Higurashi stopped. Okay, that's not ominous at all. The sound of a bike approached from far away. I couldn't tell what sort of motorcycle it was from its sound. I'd seen it parked before, so I'd know. It was getting rapidly closer. It was almost here. If he just went a little farther, he crossed into that thicket and appeared in front of me. I'd take a moment to make sure it was him. Then when I had, I put my plan into action. The motorcycle appeared. A few easily identifiable characteristics told me it was Sadako's uncle's bike, without a doubt. Was it really him? You don't remember him? Was it really Sadako's uncle? I wasn't making a mistake, was I? Looked at its characteristics again. Its color, shape, and most of all, the man's clothes. And face! Those last feelings of hesitation, I did away with them. Sadako. Now, your Nini will end it, okay? Closer. Closer. The bike came closer. Let's go. Satoshi. What the fuck? Yeah. Whoosh. What the hell? And that's a voice line, too. I jumped out of the thicket. I used my shoulder to basically tackle the uncle on the bike with all my might. Ah! He gave a dumb shout as his bike completely lost its balance. Finally, it fell, the bike scattering clouds of sand. After spinning, it stopped. Her uncle, tossed to the ground, didn't understand what had just happened, and groaned for a few seconds, crouched on the ground. Well, past the point of return. My breathing started to become ragged. No, I couldn't have this emotion. Some weird secretion crossed through my brain and nearly made me hallucinate. Her uncle was groaning. Now was the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. What was I doing? All the sounds in the world cut off. The mental chaos from a moment ago withdrew like a lie. I could feel the temperature in my head rapidly cooling down. The tension of my muscles all went away like the springs they'd been attached to and had been cut. I let my hands dangle on my sides. It wasn't quite like exhaustion. Have you calmed down now? Keiichi Maebara? Do you remember again why things got to this point today? Scrape. Scrape. I stepped over the pebbled path, taking one step, then another towards Sadako's uncle. The more I walked, the more breathing calmed. The more I walked, the more I felt my body cooling, calming, chilling with frost. Yes, at this moment, this guy had lost permission to live. I had just rescinded it. So he mustn't stay in this world any longer. If he lived any longer, if Sadako's misfortune continued, it would be my responsibility for having allowed him to live. I could feel the cooling substance going through my whole body, even down to my capillaries. Her uncle was at my feet now, still on the ground like an idiot. I smiled coldly at how ridiculous he looked. That hurt. That's all it took for it to hurt? Sadako's heart hurt much more. And now, you're gonna feel that. And with your life, I'll make up for her pain. I erased all unnecessary information from my mind. I prioritized the murder of this man in front of me. Execute. 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 Wham! Oh shit, oh god. Utterly calmly, I delivered my first strike to the back of his head. I wanted to get the most effective spot, at least during the first moment I had to attack him while he was at his most defenseless. It was in the head, he covered his head. It was a defensive reaction all humans made, like machines. He used both hands to cover his head, so he couldn't pick himself off the heap he was in the ground. Oh god, you gonna attack his stomach next then? Like pounding a caterpillar into the dirt. I hit him over and over. If he covered his head, I hit him in the side. If he covered his body, I go for his head then. If he rolled over, I strike his feet, his knees, his elbows. I didn't care where anymore. By just delivering one blow to another, I induced pain in him. I retained my overwhelming advantage, but I hadn't done nearly enough to deliver a fatal wound. Ah! Her uncle skillfully pulled himself off the ground, and started to run like a fleeing rabbit. It wasn't a judgment he'd made after seeing my face and deciding whether to fight me. Right now, he was feeling my instinct, just trying to escape from the threat that had presented itself. Are you gonna be able to catch up to him? A counterattack from the more physically capable uncle was what I was most concerned about. He may have run, but wasn't all that unlucky. Did he even see your face? And the odds were in my favor. The uncle didn't run away towards people, about the path into the woods. Okay, this is literally a horror movie situation on the other side then. Okay. How pleasant. And he would run in a direction where nobody else was. He was fleeing into strange geography, like a rat that instinctively runs into tight spots over and over. Yes, he was no longer human then. He was a rat. The blood vessels in my legs expanded. My total oxygen supply increased. Okay, you're like dehumanizing then. I lowered myself to gain the most explosive velocity I could. Without breathing, I became a wind-like shadow, and dashed. I crossed thickets, crushed dead tree branch under foot, and dove through the woods like a bullet. He ran so cowardly, arms flailing as he went. After catching up to him, I didn't need so much as a blink of an eye to strike him again. My senses, mind and body were all sharpened purely to kill this man. We're hearing a lot of bells, the exact, some of these lines, almost coincidentally thinking about it now. This was the first time I'd felt like this. Well, this was the first experience I'd ever had killing someone. It felt natural to continue to do this for the first time, actually. And that meant I had this much talent for killing. Or perhaps the act of killing was so simple that anyone could do it. I didn't struggle or grow tired at all chasing the clumsily fleeing uncle. No matter how much he ran, it was like trying to get away from his own shadow. He couldn't get away from me. I could easily aim at his back, his shoulder, and his head even from this unnatural stance. Each time I struck him, he wailed in pain and begged pitifully for forgiveness. But it didn't disturb my mind. I was neither excited nor plagued by hesitation like before. I felt sharp. I felt like a carnivore. Of course, so did the uncle, who was trying to run away because he didn't want to die. He didn't want to be eaten, like a herbivore running with all its might, trying to get away. Despite all the attacks, despite all the hits, he kept on fleeing without even staggering. Despite the bad footing in the forest, he impressively never tripped over anything. But there was no need to admire that fact. It simply proved that he was no more than an animal. If he was chased, he would run. If he was going to be killed, he would run. He bared his fangs to the weak, but couldn't oppose the strong whatsoever. He was lowly, vulgar, and diminutive animal. Such a puny little creature had harmed Sadako. Scar to her body and mind, deep wounds that might not ever go away as long as she lived. Oh. Whoa! My cold and calm motions suddenly turned into bestial ones. My personality changed into something specialized for murder, purely to devour the diminutive animal before me. You're slowly changing personalities, and the whole thing, again, was Satoshi's line. Again, that's going to brain, or literally just you're hallucinating that badly. It's one of those two things. Meh. Oh boy. The uncle gave a puny little shriek, covered his head, and ran. I'm impressed by how much you can run. Fine. Run as much as you like. I will be your death. I will choose the moment at my leisure. Your legs will hurt. Your lungs will feel but to burst. Your head will hurt from the lack of oxygen. If you feel the pain has become worse than death, then by all means, stop any time. Without turning back, suffocating in his terror of the approaching death, he just ran, shamefully onward. Oh boy. He ran, but was chased. His head bashed the metal bat, sweat and drool flying everywhere, blood clinging to him, I swear, he's gonna fall into one of Sedeko's traps like she made in those tips menus all those times ago at the very beginning of this chapter. This installment. From his mouth came the sounds of coarse, irregular breathing and high-pitched screaming that verged on crying, and pleas for forgiveness to someone. I didn't know who. Each and every second was a second of atonement that I granted him. Now, run. Run, run. Run, 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 run. Then fall, and moan, and die. Where did you even crawl out of anyway? You were never here before. If you were never here, you never should have showed up. If you never showed up, our lives would still be fun and enjoyable. We would have gone to today's festival, waited for each other, and gone to the shrine, laughing. We would have been playing amongst the stalls right about now. We'd be browsing the strange food stalls you only saw at festivals, trying to get prizes from goldfish scooping, ring throwing, or target practice. Mian would surely make it into a competition, and we, as a club, would have a grand time. And everyone would have been cheering for Rika-chan's dedication dance, and everyone would say how fun it was. It would give us energy for days to come. Fun, enjoyable, and funny. Warm time spent with friends. And that would have happened, but it didn't. And now it was all smashed to pieces! There was no doubt that would be what the world was like if you never showed up. You were the obstacle, the mistake, the hearsay in that world. I would correct that mistake now. I would erase you, make it so this last week never happened. Tonight was the Wantanashi Festival. The holy night, where taking just one life was permitted in the name of Oyashiro-sama's curse. Oh, it looked like the Higurashi stopped crying at some point. When Higurashi cried, everything would end. Didn't it already, ended when the motorcycle came then? Oh boy. In the Higurashi silenced. Lowly one. The hour atonement is at end. The Higurashi stopped their crying. Thus it is the end. The end. The end. The end. End! You don't have to run away anymore. Die. With those dirty brains of yours smashed everywhere. Go! Lightning and thunder struck like an explosion. It was so loud it shook the ground. I smelled gunpowder. The response I got this time was clearly different from the one before. It's raining now. Wow, this never happened. The old bat crunched into the crown of his head. It was like the top of his head had caved in. The bat felt like it was biting him. Okay, that's a nice line. Like a fruit bat. Or a vampire bat. It had been the final, killing attack that visited him. I didn't overlook the opening he left as his knees gave out under him. I remained alert for a few moments. Then, thud. Thud. He planted both knees in the ground, and then fell forwards, burying his head in the ground. I've been holding back my ragged breathing, but now it came out of me like a dam bursting. Okay, this is not gonna work out well if the hole you made was on a hillside. Oh boy. Especially if that CG background was exactly around where you made the hole. Oh boy. My head was dizzy, and light. Unable to maintain my balance, I leaned against a nearby tree. The uncle didn't try and guard his head any longer. After a disgusting sort of spasm, he stopped moving. Did I get him? Did I get him for sure? I fought back my exhausted urge to fall over where I stood, and drew towards him carefully, bat still at the ready. It was possible he was faking and trying to wait it out. Should I check for a pulse? I realized right away, though, how necessary that would be. I thought he might be faking it, that I would just have to keep pummeling him until I was satisfied. I was thinking you were going to do that. Just keep doing it until you can reasonably say he can't be faking it anymore. I fought back my ragged breathing again, and then I swung my bat far above and brought it down. Clunk. His body leaped like a bow, but he didn't try and cover his head. Then, once again, I aimed for his head and swung. His reaction was the same this time. Just spending a few moments making his head into mochi, the hits gradually started to feel different. It started to spray a filthy dark red liquid everywhere. Oh boy, have fun trying to clean yourself up. And, oh god, that's also another thing to think about. Oh boy, that's an interesting image. Just hitting something hard until then you just hear splats instead of crunches. That was enough. It was definite now. I had absolutely killed him. There was no sense of accomplishment, nor one of regret. I didn't feel anger towards Sadako's uncle, nor pity towards Sadako herself. Instead, right now, I was feeling my heart had been stolen by the downpour, had begun to rain at some point, and how comfortable it felt. The rainwater drenched my body and dripped down to the ground. I can honestly just imagine, like, just Keiichi just closing his eyes, just holding out his hands, like just feeling the rain. I can just picture that so easily in the scene. The excitement within me faded as the rain washed away the grime. In exchange, my shoes were so wet they made splashing sounds. Despite abusing Satoshi's bat like that, it wasn't bent very much. There were a few dents in it, probably from hitting the man, but nothing that would make it seem different from before. Instead, it had been stained with black, with red, with mud and blood. That itself would be evidence. The one piece of evidence needed to prove that my delusions hadn't just been daydreams, and that I ended Sadako's uncle for all eternity. I guess another thing, like, you have to hide that away somewhere, because the very second they probably notice if this is, like, you know, a baseball bat, and it's, like, probably suited for, like, you know, a middle schooler, they'll probably, like, look around a bit more for that, especially if you keep the Satoshi name label on it. They'll know exactly where it came from, and then it'll link back to it had to be someone who had access to the school. It would absolutely know that Satoshi had a baseball bat, or, like, was on the baseball team, and that kind of could line up with the coach, though, too. Oh gosh, I see you can get framed for this. Thinking about it now. He was given sprites and all that. He's a new character here. And if they're doing the whole parallels thing, they're actually, like, making it so that Satoshi is the one who actually killed the ant. If they're trying to do that parallel, and then someone, like, accidentally becomes the framed victim, then it'll just continue the cycle. Unintentionally. Alright, Keiichi. Calm your mind. The time for passion is over. Now is the time to be cold as ice. I needed to bury the body, but where was I? I simply followed the man as far as he ran into the darkness. I couldn't take a guess as to how far we'd run. It was already pitch black around us, and the only light I had to go on was the very faint lights in the road a little further down. It was so dark out. I hadn't noticed the darkness until just now. My vision was so good I could see the man's ugly hairline. I could have counted the pores in his head. It was only now that I realized how much crazy strength I had mustered that moment. Oh boy. Oh look, it's the regret road. I went over to the streetlight. I looked up and down the road, desperately trying to figure out where I was. This is... oh no. This was the one road connecting Hinamizawa to the town. We were unbelievably far away from Sadako's house. Had the two of us really run so far a distance? So either find the shovel again, or make a new grave, or just drag the body all the way back. And hopefully no one sees you. But if that road is, like, connected to one or two places besides Sadako's house, and, like, one of the two places, and people are, like, had decided to leave back, people are probably, like, already left for the festival, or, like, they're, like, closing things up. Oh boy. There's gonna be some stragglers. Have fun. Have the two of us really run so far a distance? I'm surprised at that. It was accompanied by knowledge of the miraculous fact that, despite running so far, making so much noise, we hadn't come across anybody at all. It was a long way between here in the ambush location where I dug the hole. There was no way I could carry the body that far. Get a wheelbarrow! Wait, there's a car! Wait, aside from that, the bike the man took here was still lying in the middle of the path. That would be an issue. The police could tell whose motorcycle it was by looking at its license plate. They wouldn't just leave it at that. Thankfully, the corpse was in a dark forest. In terms of urgency, dealing with the bike would come first. I mean, I guess you can probably use the bike. Oh, if it's a motorcycle bike, then it's gonna be difficult if you want to try to ride it. But it was like a motorcade one. Well, that was actually the one I was thinking about before. It just it could be easy to just lump him into the motorcade and just, you know, drive it somewhere. But if it's just a motorcycle, then yeah, you're screwed. You gotta hide that somewhere, push it to the swamp or something. And I wanted to get the shovel back from where I left it next to the hole. I shouldn't drive the body there. I'd have to deal with it right here. Fortunately, the ground was like mud from the downpour. It was more sludgy here than where I was before. Might be able to dig a grave quickly here. Yeah, but what are you going to do with the grave you made beforehand, then? Are you just going to leave it open like that? Or are you going to put the dirt back into it? Of course, my bicycle was still over where I left it, too. It still wasn't over. You did the murder itself, but everything else still has to be done. Homicide had only been half my goal. The other half would be just as important as the first. I'll completely hide the body, now allowing a beginning to happen. This has been in my mind ever since Keiichi was, like, you know, first, like, the idea of, like, killing, you know, Teppei, like, came to mind. It reminds me of that conversation that Kaede had with, Shuichi in chapter 1 of, Danganronpa before everything went to shit. About, how, you know, Detective Shuichi, like, was afraid of revealing the truth because, the culprit for the crime he found out and reported to the police was, also a crime of, like, angered passion because, the victim there, like, driven the culprit's relative to suicide. I remember when going through that session, that game, that what was it? That it reminded me a bit of, like, how I guess one theming in, like, the spin-off of Danganronpa, like, of another episode, Ultra Despair Sisters, was about how the world was unfair and, like, how did no one not notice what was happening there, and only then noticing what happened afterwards. This seems something similar to that. I would completely hide the body, not allowing a beginning to happen. How to erase the man like he never existed, and regain the peaceful times we had before. I bent my head backwards, and calmed my mind even further. The big water droplets struck my brow mercilessly. They were actually quite comfortable, and for a while let my desire have its way. After confirming that I was sharp again, I started running through the rain. Oh boy, here we are. The motorcycle was in the grass at the roadside. Considering how it looked, pelted with rain and covered in mud, it actually seemed like it had been lying there for a long time. Oh boy, how long were you running into the forest thinking about it? Oh my god. The plan was to drop the motorcycle into the swamp. The swamp was a bit of a walk from here. Ugh. I lifted the bike up. I didn't think it would be so heavy. Okay, it's definitely a motorcycle. I was a little surprised. Once I had it upright, it was fairly easy to roll it along. Still, pushing this thing all the way to the swamp was really not something I wanted to do. I could no longer ignore my exhaustion. It warned me numerous times of how far away the swamp was. This motorcycle, I wonder if I could ride it well enough. Once I got it going, it would be basically the same as a bicycle. Not a track noise. Wouldn't it get me to the swamp quickly? A plan suggested by my exhaustion, the anxiety of getting on a motorcycle for the first time withdrew. I turned the key, and then you just kick this pedal, right? Yeah. Yeah! It's on. And then, I grip the handlebars, first the right, then the left. Ah! Maybe I twisted them too much. The bike lurched and did a wheelie like an angry horse. Nay! I lost it for a second. It was just a problem of how much torque to apply. Let's try that again. This time, slowly, gently. I get reminded of when I tried when I was a kid, trying to use a toy motorcycle, and then I did the exact same thing, but instead I was holding onto the handlebars on top of the bike, and then it tipped over, and then because of the force and the surprise of me falling over to the ground on the road, then just spinning around in circles because my hand reflexively turned the handlebar even more, and I'm just spinning around in circles and scraped my whole entire side of my body. That was fun. No, it wasn't. This time, slowly, gently. That time, it went well. It was strange to be on a two-wheeled vehicle that would go even if I didn't pedal. Very odd, but I got used to it quickly. Mian once told me you could get a scooter license within a day, and she was clearly right. This is pretty easy. I needed to throw the metal bat into the swamp too. Yeah, I was thinking you were gonna throw it over there. But I didn't know how I would pack the bat onto the motorcycle. Not much of other choice. I stuck to the back of my shirt, feeling like a ninja carrying a katana. Oh yeah, I actually think you can do that, honestly. Reminds me of a certain other game, death game stuff, with an axe. Really just putting in the back of your hem of your shirt and just have them, like it's like the hilt of it, like stand up out of your shirt, and like stays there. You know, like a sheath almost. If I put the tip down the seat of my pants and hunched over, it wouldn't fall out. Well, that could work too. I got back in the bike, and this time, got going without any difficulty. I carefully pressed the button labeled light, and a rather strong light came on, moving the way forward. This is honestly amazing imagery for all this, along with this music. Holy shit. I probably really shouldn't have turned it on, but I didn't have any way of seeing this point. Had zero confidence I could ride through this darkness. As the rain came down at me, I maintained a precarious balance and inched my way towards the swamp. Along the way, I ran across a few people who seemed to be returning from the festival, but none of them had any interest in me. They were either all soaked through with the rain and hurrying their ways home, had their umbrellas low and their heads down. Ooh, nice. Yesterday, I might have been wary of even these passerby. Right now, it didn't seem to be much cause for concern. If actually people are planning to leave back home, then so, In fact, it would probably be less suspicious to be riding on the open like this instead of sneaking around. More and more, though, I started thinking the idea is naive, brought on by my exhausted state. Oh boy. I climbed a steep hill. On a bike, the hill would have put me out of breath, but I just had to accelerate a little bit to climb the entire thing. Motorcycles sure are convenient. For a moment, its lights illuminated a sign before I passed by it. Onikafuchi Swamp. Good children do not play around here. Oh, good children, anyway. Still, it wasn't like the way to the swamp was quartered off by a metal fence or anything. Have fun just lifting this entire motorbike up and yeeting it over the metal fence then. There's like barbed wire on top, and the motorbike gets stuck on top of there, tangling in the weeds. And the twine, the copper wire. Parents and teachers would get mad at you if they found out you were playing in the swamp. But some of the bad kids in my class apparently snuck out here sometimes to see the giant crayfish in the place. They talk before about how they go to the candy shop and buy some pickled squid, then just tie it to a fishing line and throw it, and all the crayfish would come running. That sounds adorable. I don't know what crayfish look like, but either way, it sounds adorable. Once I got up to the bank, there was a tiny ritual shrine and traditional ropes on one of the trees. And, as I swallowed the downpour whole, the blackened swamp had waited for me. The music's cut out now. Oh boy, even more ominous. I slammed on the accelerator from the cliff-like stop I was on now. The thing would fly straight into the middle of the swamp. Had to be careful not to fall in with it. If I drowned and disappeared, man, what a stupid ghost story that would be. Wow, 2 people with like 1 person dead and you went missing all in one night. The curse is actually happening all at once. On the night I watched Higurashi, Sadako's uncle's corpse was found in a thicket by the road leading to town, and Keiichi Maebara went missing. He whispered that I'd been demoned away. The 5th year's curse would be a half-baked one. I got off the bike, and twisted the accelerator as hard as I could. I let go just when it seemed like it would drag me forward. The bike shot off the cliff, and was swallowed down into the swamp. leaving a far fainter splash than I imagined. Its surface was being pummeled by the downpour, and the muddy, filthy water was flowing into it. I couldn't even make out the motorbike I'd just thrown in there. It was pretty heavy after all. It would be quickly engulfed by the soft mud at the bottom of the swamp. It would be pulled deeper and deeper until it reached hell itself. Are you just going to throw the baseball bat into the lands on top and just let it sink then? I felt no reluctance whatsoever in throwing the man's motorbike down to the land of the demons. But I did have a tinge of regret about Satoshi's bat. Oh, yeah. Well, if, like, everyone is half human, half demon, then, like, his demon soul self, then would love and have fun with the bat itself. But the human half, his human half would, not be happy about that. But yes, the demons now have a motorbike to, like, have fun in the depths of hell. Okay, that's a funny image. I washed the bat with muddy water. The gore sticking to it came off easily. I had sort of shared today's events with Satoshi, so I wanted to give it a quiet place to stay. That's how I felt. I started to feel more like returning into the locker from before, so I could continue to keep watch over Sadako. Satoshi, I probably, misunderstood you. Satoshi listened quietly, without nodding. Just seeing him, the reflection of someone you never knew looking back at you in perfect detail. I'm absolutely convinced now. You were the one who beat your aunt to death last year and saved Sadako. I always scorned you and called you a coward who ran away, but I was wrong. To the rest of the world, some deviant was behind that incident, but I know. That was something you did for her. And then you disappeared. You finally got back that peace, and lost it within days. So, I swear to you that I'll live life to the fullest from now on. Live it enough for the both of us. I will live on as though this week, this day, never ever happened. But I will never forget the short time we shared together for as long as I live. I didn't know what expression Satoshi made as he listened, but as someone who had protected the same girl, I felt he had smiled and given me his blessing. And then, my hand moved its own accord, and the bat I had hesitated to throw away left my hands and flew through the air. It traveled its parabolic path, spinning all the while, and the swamp absorbed it without a sound. There weren't even any ripples when it hit the surface. That surface was tempestuous because of the downpour, and the bat was long gone. For a moment, I regretted having thrown it. Dive back in, search for it. But I realized that might have been what Satoshi had wanted. You're right. I still can't let myself give in to emotion just yet. I returned for my shovel, get on my bike, dig a hole to hide the body, and bury it. It seemed like a simple sequence of events, but I felt exhausted. I had to do it all tonight. Satoshi left me with only the advice I need to finish this up soon, then fell silent for eternity, and disappeared at the bottom of the demon's abyss. It wasn't gonna be as simple as I'm just attacking the uncle right then in the ambush. I returned to the path I had ambushed our uncle on. My bike was hidden, sleeping in that brush. I stood it back up. My whole body felt heavy. But I needed to finish by the end of the day, if I had to whip myself to do it. I wonder if the police would actually, look around and, search party around if, this is the fifth year of the curse and someone dies and goes missing. Whether or not, they should, look around the whole entire place. Although, the first time, the body was found in I guess the construction site. The second year was literally just some people witnessed it in broad daylight at a park, witnessing, it was Sadako witnessing, or I guess Tooth. I think it was the priest actually next, then, no, Sadako's parents, then Rika's, the priest, then the aunt, and all that. Most of it was inside, indoors. My whole body felt heavy. but I need to finish by the end of the day, even if I had to whip myself to do it. Oh, I forgot something. I didn't just come here for my bike. The shovel was here too. I thought you mentioned you were here to grab that. Not good. I was zoning out. Every once in a while, put my guard down, my vision would almost go black. Holy shit. Pull yourself together, Keiichi Maebara. It's still not over. I went to the grove of trees and looked for the hole in which I'd hidden the shovel. Unfortunately, I had hidden it deep in the forest, not wanting to be seen. And everything was black in the night. I couldn't see anything anymore. I reawakened my fading consciousness and realized just how big this noise really was. Wait, you can't be serious. The sweat the rain washed before came back up to my skin. Oh boy, you're getting nervous about what's happening now? Oh boy. Deep. Deep in the forest where the 4 streetlights could never reach. The fact that it would be so pitch black had been completely uncalculated. With this much darkness, if I had been able to kill him right away like I planned, I didn't know if I would still could have buried him without a problem. What should I do? I simply couldn't find the shovel tonight. If I forced myself to go deep into the forest, I'd lose even my sense of direction. It might actually get lost in there and get demoned away that way. Oh boy, are you actually leaving the body behind? Oh god. That might have been an exaggeration, but it was fully possible I tripped over a tree root and sprained a muscle. Oh right. My house's storage room. There was another shovel there. Same fold-up kind. Can I go back to the house, get the shovel, and give up and find the shovel tonight? It's not as though the name Maebara is on the shovel. Oh. But it seemed like an unusual item from an import variety store. Made in another country, so... I didn't want to leave that shovel here. Yeah, good to go. But in this darkness, I couldn't do anything. You could try to grab a flashlight. Wonder how it is going to be when your parents, like, find out, like, when you come back home. And, yeah. I should give up and go back to the storage room. And the electric lantern in there. Yeah, there too. If I use that for light, I could look for it. But it was so extremely dark. Can I light the way with just the lantern? The light of a lantern this dark night. I couldn't discard the possibility of it drawing eyes. And I doubt if I could find the shovel with the lantern's feeble light. Oh boy. You're planning to, like, leave the body and the shovel there overnight? Oh boy. Besides, I left the body there for a pretty long time already. As the fear, dulled through excessive exhaustion, finally reared its ugly head. No, wait, for now. For now, the most important thing was to hide the body. A shovel being found wouldn't be a big deal. But a corpse? If I chose found the shovels found nearby, they would look into every single nook and cranny of the shovel. They found that. I'd share the same fate as Satoshi then. First, I go back to the storage room at home, and I get the lantern. Now, as it's gotten this dark, I might still need light to dig a hole for the body too. And I get the other shovel. And then I deal with the body first thing. Well, we don't know how Mion would react if she's, like, randomly just stumbled upon this and, like, you know, like, what the fuck did you do, Kei-chan? But, Reina, like, outside of her, I guess, like, hysteric mode, really, like, chastised Keiichi and, like, slapped him across his face just for trespassing, so, definitely, like, cares about, you know, crimes and all that, even to the smallest extent, even the smallest misdemeanor. So, there's that. Yeah, don't let Reina know. Maybe Rico understand. Maybe her. Maybe her. But it's still gonna be gruesome, so probably not. No, don't. And then I deal with the body first thing. Once that was done, I come back here, find the shovel, and bring it back. I had to. Had to do at least that much. But I was so tired. But complaining was getting me nowhere. If I started getting complacent now, everything will have been for naught. At some point, I had sat down, grit my teeth, and endured, lifting my heavy hips. The night was young. Of all the nights I experienced, none ever been this long. When would it all end? The night was young. Oh god, don't tell me you fell asleep right there in the middle of the forest. Oh god, that's the worst thing for you. Oh boy. It's still going. The lights at home were dazzlingly bright. Suddenly, it reminded me of how hungry I was. I checked the clock and saw that it was almost 7. I thought for sure it was 2 or 3 in the morning already. Surprised at how messed up my biological clock had gotten just from this one night. It was a warm light, coming from the curtains in the living room window. The worlds between here and what was beyond those curtains were so different. If when that man hadn't shown up, I would have been in that light. I'd still be excited from the festival. I'd be talking to my parents about how much fun I had with all my friends. And then, even though they made a hot meal for me, I would have eaten way too much of the stalls, barely eaten any of it, and gone back to my room. No doubt I'd crawl into my futon and easily let myself fall asleep then, huh? Right now, I was completely different. I was a different person. There wasn't a single ember of warmth in those weak street lights. Right now, I was unconnected to any time spent with my family, and there was neither warm food, nor the time to allow myself to sleep. Yay, exhaustion, starvation. My body exposed to the cold rain. I knew that I simply had to spur myself on to accomplish what I must. I realized how timid, how cowardly I was becoming. What purpose did I need to kill someone so badly that was worth feeling this terrible? It depends on how more terrible God. How someone else feels. I'm trying to think of, like, ways of how people, like, justify, like, committing a crime like this then. Oh boy. I lost sight of that purpose. I selected the most fastest, most fundamental way of saving Sadako, and executed it without hesitation. And the dramatic irony would probably be in effect that oh boy. From the sounds of it, that emergency tip thing, that didn't come into effect either today. So, maybe the next day, they would come and find that the uncle was nowhere around. Oh boy. That man was dead. He was gone. He would never, ever hurt Sadako again. We all thought frantically for days on end about Sadako's problem, and finally, with no options, we gave up. And I had solved it in one night. I feel like just Sadako learning that her uncle's dead is just gonna make her feel even worse because of the curse of him also taking on one of her family. Even if she hated them. That's how it feels so far. Even if she been keeping up a pretense about she was strong and acting care for a while. Even after all of this, I'm pretty sure it would get to anyone. It's like the whole thing of sometimes you internalize something from someone you know you hate and you know you shouldn't take anything from, but sometimes they say an insult so many times it gets internalized and seeps into your skin, and then it sticks with you, whether you want it to or not. We gave up, and I'd solved it in one night. By myself, without anyone's help. Right about now, Sadako would be making dinner for her uncle, despite not knowing when he'd return, and she might be spending the night trembling in fear of whether he yelled at her for how it tasted. But her uncle wouldn't come home. He's still alive, it's his ghost! She wouldn't have to fear his wrath, nor let him make her feel sad. I see. I did it. Now it came crashing upon you. I successfully saved Sadako. All I've been thinking about for a long time was killing that man, and I'd forgotten the feeling that it was actually all to save her. Oh boy. I did. I did something good. That's right. I did something good, didn't I? I felt hot tears coming from my eyes. That's when I first realized the exhaustion I'd been feeling was actually guilt. Oh. That blade of guilt, for a while now, had just been scraping away with its tip, hurting my heart. It hurt so bad I couldn't stand it. It was throbbing painfully. It hurt so much, it was so painful that I cried. I cried tears of joy at saving Sadako. I didn't know why, really, anymore. I just cried. My tears fell and fell. And I stood there for a while, coming to terms with those warm tears. My heart was comforted a little. Alright, Keiichi Maebara. That's enough. There's nothing to regret or feel ashamed about here. Both my body and mind were thoroughly exhausted, and that was a fact. I thought you said that was your guilt. It was only natural I couldn't feel anything. Even tomorrow, the day after that, I might not be able to feel anything for a while. But there's one thing that was true. There was the indisputable fact that I had saved Sadako. One day, we would surely be rewarded. One day, I'll be proud of how distressing an enterprise I'd undertaken to get Sadako's smile back. And so that I could wait for that day, I had to put the finishing touches in this night. I left it undone. Everything I accomplished today would be for naught. I looked back up at the sky, which didn't look like it would stop raining anytime soon. Then, I rubbed my eyes and summoned forth energy from my core again. How long did I plan spacing out? Your parents are shaking you, telling you, "Why are you sitting out in the cold, Keiichi? Come on inside." This isn't the time for daydreaming. Someone could find that corpse this very moment. That pessimistic thought was proof that the very natural emotion of fear had returned to me. As I allowed the fear to spur me onwards, I went to look for the other shovel and lanterns of the storage room. Again, the parents have no idea what's happening, as is customary. It was fortunate. I remembered what it looked like around the streetlight the body was near. With how dark it was possible I wouldn't have been able to look for it either. I didn't realize that when I left the place. The idea of memorizing the spot hadn't even crossed my mind. That was why to call it fortunate I managed to get back to the body like this. Okay, I guess, like, after you make the grave, you have a fun time looking around for the shovel. The corpse was now located in a big, muddy puddle. Half the thing had already sunk into the swamp-like pool of water. I only realized afterward there was an unused irrigation channel right nearby, clogged with fallen leaves and dirt, and there was rainwater flowing in from there. My shoes have been washed with water for a long time now, so without any hesitation, I stepped into the puddle. Luckily, the whole muddy stream washed it all away. I couldn't leave any traces, like bloodstains. The rain was like a blessing from heaven here. I checked around me, paying very close attention, then turned off the lantern. It had become pitch black. My eyes got used to the darkness in a few moments, but once I managed to reach the street light on the other side, I was able to make out even faint lights. I slid the shovel into the puddle right next to the corpse. The ground was even looser here than I thought. The shovel's tip easily sits inside of it. So I'm gonna try to dig deeper than quicker, like dig deeper through it, because it might be washed away, the topsoil and all that, and maybe even down further until the body gets found, or what? Like, it could be found by little if this downpour is gonna be that hard for the rest of the night. Oh boy. The ground was even looser here than I thought. The shovel's tip easily slid inside it. I had to hurry and dig. If it took too much time, I might lose my energy and strength again, and black out again and fall asleep in the grave. It felt almost like digging a hole in the sand of the beach. Wow, making nice, brilliant sandcastles. It was easy to dig. No matter what, the muddy water kept flowing in, covering the hole. The digging wasn't going as well as I hoped. Gosh dang it. I dug, and the water would go in, so I couldn't get a sense of how deep it was. The only way for me to measure was to bury my own foot in the mud. I'm digging just fine. It's alright. Don't be disheartened. Dig. 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 Occasionally, a car would come by on the road, and I hurried to hide myself in the trees. Everyone was only passing through. They wouldn't have their eyes peeled in this kind of darkness. I understood it logically, I still couldn't help but hide. What I was really scared of wasn't quite that one of those cars would coincidentally happen to witness me here. It was the distance I could spot cars from was getting gradually shorter. At first, I noticed the splashing sounds from really far away as cars drove through them. I started noticing them less and less. The car that just passed by, I didn't notice until its headlights were upon me. I felt my senses growing duller by the second. If someone were to take a sneak and peek in secret, as I was burying the body, the worst possible time, maybe I wouldn't even notice. And when I thought that, I took a good look all around me. Oh boy. I roused all my half-asleep senses and searched for signs of presence nearby. Like, yeah, like, just the screen just being dark and then the sun, like, just blink and all this again. Wow, it's like actually good effect. I was zoning out a tiny bit too, just besides the text. Oh god. What if I found out someone was spying at me from the trees? They're in the goddamn trees! They're speaking from the trees! A carnivorous feeling snarled at me, glaring. If there was, then I would dig another hole. I come this far already. I'm just wondering if there was a channel or puddle nearby, and it was harder to dig a hole, like, enter like that quickly. Why couldn't you just, like, move somewhere to, like, where it's, I guess the water's not channeling on top of it, to move mud on top of it, unless it was going all across the path they all went through. Like, all across that you could tell anyway. If it was that, then there's no other way around it. But if not, then there was that easy way of just finding somewhere with not a lot of water being, washed over it. In order to achieve perfection, I didn't care how much more I had to pay. I didn't know what kind of face I was making at the time, but it was definitely a fervently glaring one. Come on already, dig. My five senses reached the conclusion. Nobody was present. I didn't breathe a sigh of relief. Back to black. How long have I been digging this mud out of here? It was deep enough for it to go to my knees. Maybe this was enough. No. Maybe I'd throw the corpse in as a test. I swallow, getting my breathing under control. Despite how much I'd beaten him, I was afraid of touching the corpse. So instead, I dragged it by the feet to the hole. It took more than just a wag on a tug to do it. Of course it did. Considering this man's weight, it was easily 80 kilograms. I rallied all my strength and dragged him. At this point, my groundless fears that he might suddenly start moving again had vanished long ago. His body fit perfectly into the muddy hole. You just bury him the next day, he's just like all around the town, just like, who the fuck tried to bash me over the head? He's still alive after all that. It was more than deep enough. Alright, let's bury him. Quickly. Quickly. If I did a perfect job of burying it here, everything would be over. I would hide in the hole, and none of this would ever happen. When I realized I only had a little farther to go to finish everything, I was racked with pointless anxiety, like it was a race against time. It's like I was absorbed in delusion. If I didn't bury the body quickly, it might come back to life. In any case, in a great rush, I poured mud and dirt into the hole. My next thought is, like, I'm about thinking about this. How are you going to explain why you're so late to your parents? Like, you're going to say, hey, Mom, Dad, I wanted to play it by myself, like, alone in the rain, in the pitch blackness at, past 10 and all that. They ask questions about, the festival and all that. How are you going to explain that? I mean, especially, oh god, if you tell them one story and, like, the next day of them at school and rain, like, you're definitely going to be so exhausted, you're going to fall asleep, dead, and wake up late, and Rain will be the door and, like, ask and talk to the parents, and, like, oh boy, things that get contradicted easily. If it didn't work efficiently, someone might find me here. Until now, I figured if someone saw, I'd just kill them. But not anymore. Don't do it, Joe Dark. I was arrested with such absolute fear that if someone saw me, it would all be over. As I finished the work off, it was a total mess. Splish splash. Squish squash. I drew the surface of the shovel across the ground, trying to make it flat. I was completely covered in mud at that point. The rain washed the mud off my body, but not off my now blackened clothing. My body and mind are caked with panic, with fear, with rain and sweat and mud. The only thing you can do, just now thinking about it, is you're playing in the mud, and now your mom is going to be so upset about that. Oh boy. My shoulders heaving, I threw down the shovel and sat down in the mud. I was so exhausted that I wanted to lay right down right here and sleep. Like seeing pink spots in front of you. It was over. This time. For real. It was over. Even if I need a shovel and, like, figure out whether or not to handle that open grave that's nearby Sadako's house. I think you should cover that over just in case, actually. When the police look over it, they might actually figure out what the point of it is anyway. They notice there's a loose patch of dirt. This time, for real, it was over. The man was now in the bottom of the wet dirt. Right this moment, there were traces that this place had been dug up. The rain and flowing muddy water would completely cover it all within moments. Yes, it was over. I did it. I did it. I did it, you motherfucker! And then I fell over backwards, face up in the mud. Raindrops pelted my face without mercy, but I didn't care. After staying there for a while, resting my mind, I got up again. It was over. So let's go home. You forgot the shovel. You already buried the whole thing. So now it's like it's never happened. It never happened. There's no reason for me to stay out here and get rained on. I bubbled to my feet. I wouldn't use a shovel anymore. I considered disassembling it, but I didn't have the strength of my absolute exhaustion. I didn't really need to take it apart anyway. Dragging the shovel behind me, I head towards the light. I stood up my bike. I've been laying in the grass by the road. I didn't know how I was going to get the still assembled shovel into the front basket. I put the shovel down in the back of my shirt like I'd done with a baseball bat. Unlike the bat, the corner was on my back, making it very painful. Oh, I can already imagine that. Plus, if I relax my posture even a little, it'll fall up behind me. I ended up having to carry the shovel in my left hand and ride my bike using only my right hand. Okay. Not only was in a state of total exhaustion, this is a downpour. One hand in the handlebars. I was swaying to and fro like a drunk. But I didn't care. Even swaying like this, I got a little closer to home every time I pedaled. I saw two lights swaying slowly in front of me. A car was approaching. Oh no. I need to get out of the way. From far away in the shadows of the darkness, a car appeared. Its dazzling lights washed over me. The driver made a short honk of the horn and informed me it was in the middle of the road. I had to get out of the way. I could tell myself that. But not only was I riding one-handed, I was exhausted so I couldn't do anything. Wobble, 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 wobble. I meandered about, not going to the right or left. The driver decided to swerve out of the way right in front of me. Without lowering its speed so much, steadily came towards me. Its outline grew large in my vision. I tell myself again that I really need to get out of the way. I drove the handlebars in one direction, then lost my balance and fell over, bike and all. My whole body splayed out, and one foot got caught in the bike. This was seriously bad. My drowsiness quickly vanished, and just as the cold sweat broke out on my skin, the driver recklessly spun the wheel to the left, making a clockwise U-turn, and came right up to me, and stopped. So either this is Oishi, which is the worst possible scenario, or Coach. The driver's seat door opened. The driver came out. You idiot, what are you doing here? I was pretty sure someone would yell at me like that. Oh. Well, my. Oh, it's her. It's you. Look who it is. It was a woman's voice. And when I knew, you're now a part of this accomplice now. I lifted my face to the ground and looked at her. Hello. Welcome on the regret road. Keep your regrets to yourself to a minimum. Takano-san. Good evening. The moon is very pretty tonight. Maebara-kun. It was raining far too hard to see the moon. Wow. Yeah, nice. The weather is pretty nice too. Takano-san unfolded an umbrella and smiled as she spoke. Does that technically mean you're still gonna be alive then, or... That smile was, for some reason, uncanny. Like she'd seen right through me. Out of all the people I could have met, I got the sudden feeling this was the one I wanted to see the least. I'm pretty sure Oishi will be actually your first least. What are you doing out so late? And you're soaked and covered in mud, and no umbrella either. What is that? A shovel? She'd come here via car. She wouldn't have known what I was just doing. And yet, she smiled, as though she knew everything. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. She always makes that mysterious-looking smile, remember? Don't let her onto anything, unless you dig your own grave. With a shovel, but you're too exhausted for that, so have fun. Rumors say you were playing baseball at the golf club. Is that what the shovel's for, too? Yes, my reputation precedes me. Go along with it, Keiichi, go along with it. You're using it as an umbrella. I should tell a good lie here. I could just do that, things would work out. When I went with Reina to go digging for treasure of the dam, we forgot this there. You went to get in this downpour? When I left my house, I didn't think it would rain, so... Oh, it's been raining for a while, though. Been out for quite some time, haven't you? Just say you got lost. Well, yes, I was kind of wandering around. Even so, you came from that direction, didn't you? The dam is in the opposite direction, you know. Takana-san was clearly aware that something exceedingly abnormal was happening with me. She played her little word games. She's enjoying driving me into a corner. Maybe she had a vague guess, just from the situation, of what I'd been doing. You're part of it all, aren't you? You're part of the curse. My timing really sucked. To run to her of all people of all times. At the very end, I can only be frustrated by my terrible luck. Remember, Keiichi, remember these specific words. She doesn't care about who the culprit is. She doesn't care about the culprit, apparently. I'd done so much, and the end was literally right around the corner. So why? Why at the very, very end did I run to her of all people? What do you do, Keiichi Maebara? Don't do it, Joe Dark. You're still holding something that could be a dangerous weapon. Will you silence Takana-san? Don't. Even if it would be simple to kill Takana-san, dealing with a car she come in afterward would be an issue. Yeah, this is going down to a spiral. I couldn't drive a car. It was completely different from a motorbike. But even if the car was here, as long as there was no proof I killed her. Yes. In tonight's downpour without any prior planning, all by coincidence, a hit and run. What? As long as I didn't drop any handkerchiefs without my initials on them, they would never know I killed her. A black flame quietly smoldered in rage in the core of my body. That's a scary look. Did I tease you too much? Akana-san started to laugh by herself, and thankfully stopped talking about it. The dark clouds in my mind didn't go away. Leaving that aside, how long are you planning on crawling on the ground with your bike like that? Would you mind moving out of the way? If I moved, she would leave. I tried to get the bicycle up and out of the way, then twisted my ankle and it fell over. Oh, shit! The sharp pain in the ankle I twisted. This is nonsense. Sprained ankle? Now? Oh my. Are you alright? Did you twist your ankle? Going to the hospital. A record if it's going to be there that night. Oh my gosh. Takana-san squats down and takes a good look at the ankle I keep rubbing. She compares to my facial expression, probably trying to gauge how bad the wound was. Can you stand? I didn't expect to, but I couldn't even stand up. That's all I could do to shamelessly wriggle on the ground like a caterpillar. Takana-san looked at her watch, then her car, and after thinking for a moment, opened the passenger seat door, and then gave me her shoulder to stand up with. I'll take you home. I do feel bad since it's almost like I hit you. I'm sorry. I won't just leave you out there. It's a good thing I'm a nice person. Nobody good has ever called themselves a nice person. That would have been a terrible thing to say to someone holding me up like this. Oh, wow, actually, I like this. Okay, I love this background so much. God, so atmospheric. I love rain. I love rain so much, listening to it. But it sucks driving through it, though. I took Takano's hands and sat down in the passenger seat. Takano-san went around the back and looked at my bike in the ground. I don't suppose we could take the bicycle home tomorrow. You can clearly tell from her face that she thought it would be a pain, so it would be heavy, and get her car dirty. But my bike has the name Maebara written on it. Couldn't leave it out here like this. Can you someone put in the car? I sort of need it. The trunk is already full. I put it in the back seat, get the seats dirty with mud. Well, given you're already in here, it's already dirty, I suppose. and turn back to the back seat, and see someone's folding bicycle there already. Is that Tomataki's bike? Still look big enough to fit my bike in there as well, actually. My expression reflected my thoughts. The exact thoughts seemed to get through to her. Alright, alright. I'll put it in here for you. I'll be really nice, but just for tonight, okay? Nakana-san continued with her mean jokes, but she hoisted my bike and loaded it into the back seat for me. The mean jokes are one thing, but couldn't she do something about that eerie smile of hers? Even more importantly than the bike, I didn't want to leave the shovel here. The shovel could be directly connected to the buried body, and to me. Sorry to ask for their favor, but could you get my shovel too? Takano-san gave me a clearly dubious expression. Your shovel? That's fine with me. Is it important? The more I talk, the worse it gets for me. That's how I felt, so I didn't force myself to answer her. Literally, it's not even that bad. It's literally just kind of grab all my stuff and, so you can, be at home. I can just take in the morning back to my own house tomorrow. That's it. But I know you're exhausted, so it's probably not easy to say that, but I know it's still. Eventually, outlasted by my own silence, Takano-san gave a short shrug and sighed. Alright, I understand. You need your shovel, right? It's the most important thing in my life right now. You don't need to make such a mean face. Takano-san brought over the shovel that was lying in the middle of the road. I clutched it like I never let go of it again. Takano-san watched me with a puzzled look. It was something special for my grandfather. Okay, let's be off. Maebara-kun, you live at the Maebara mansion, don't you? Why does everyone call my house the Maebara mansion? Because it's actually a mansion. It must be nice to be rich. As she spoke, Takano-san pulled the handbrake and stepped on the gas. Just making a skillful U-turn using the shoulder of the road, she steadily increased in speed. In the rearview mirror, that accursed place seemed to melt into the darkness. Oh boy, oh, this is also a really good shot. Holy shit. Reed? Huh? I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you there. What was that? Takano-san suddenly tried to say something to me, but thoughtlessly, I didn't catch it. Looking ahead, Takano-san said the same thing one more time. The body. What? What body? How well was it buried? What the fuck? I thought my heart might beat on my chest. I didn't let it show. But my lungs are squeezed tight and I couldn't breathe. What are you talking about? When burying bodies in mountains like these, you have to bury it fairly deep, because wild dogs will often smell the corpse and dig it out. Some human bone a wild dog brings back in its mouth leads to an instant being uncovered. But please head out to a stretch of mountains. It actually happens pretty often, you know? Pound, pound, clang, clang. Yeah, but you're too exhausted for that. It was probably a bad idea to, make the grave before you did the crime anyway, actually. Oh boy. Huge rusted bells started ringing in my head. Had I buried it so deep that I could say it absolutely wouldn't be found? The answer was no. It was such a rush to bury him and get it over with that I couldn't deny having possibly buried it too close to the surface. No, wait. Wait. That's not... Wait, anyway. This woman, how did she know? She just passed by here in her car by coincidence. And ran into each other by coincidence. She was one of those cars that actually passed by. She knows it was you. She actually killed Tomataki. She actually buried his body this time. If she'd been watching the entire thing from the trees, and once I left, she came back in her car. No, it didn't make any logical sense. So then, why? Keiichi Maebara, that's it. You need to kill her. Oh boy. My entire body reawakened, giving my pupils dilate. Couldn't possibly beat her to death with a shovel in such a small car. And yeah, have fun, she's driving. Then I'll use my hands and strangle her. Oh god, you are taking this way too much far. Oh god. But she was driving right now. If I strangled her, we might get into an accident. Then suddenly Takano-san turned and looked at me. What? Nobody retort? For a moment, I was surprised. What was she talking about? Oh, she's making a joke. It seems we're not a very good match, huh? Takana-san said, disappointed, turning her gaze ahead. She is very morbid. I repeated the word she said, a few times in my head, and finally realized she meant it as an off-color joke. I didn't know whether it was really a joke, but I wouldn't be able to fool her, no matter how many lies I told. Lie with the truth. Right now, with her driving the car like this, I couldn't kill her. I'd have an even harder time doing it when we got back to my house. The moment we met, that had been my best chance. I had missed it so easily. It hurt. Yeah, you're slowly becoming a psychopath, slowly. Slowly. After that, Takana-san didn't say a single word. The car was completely buried in almost suffocating silence. And your eyes went like completely black and white, like the first time you started thinking about this all happened. Oh boy. What kind of woman had I run into? With everything that happened today, I managed to pull it off. And the very end of it all, it's just to go home and go back to sleep. Bad luck. And you still have a shovel left out there. And, Open Grave by Sadako's house. Yeah, that's not going to end well with you. As my sleepiness gradually overtook me, the anxiety I felt steadily started to matter less and less. Is this alright, Keiichi Maebara? You probably should not leave this woman alive. Right now, I'm tired. She stepped on the brakes and jerked against my seatbelt. That woke me up. I thought I must have fallen asleep by accident. I wouldn't say this by accident. Oh god, again. Oh my gosh, look at this. This looks cool. Atmosphere, rain. Yes. It looks so cool. I looked out the window, and there was a big building with faint lights on. It was really dark out, but I knew immediately it was my house. I'll get your folks for you. Would you mind the place for a few moments while I'm gone? No, I can't handle anything right now at all. I'm fading into unconsciousness. Don't make fun of me, please. Besides, look, I'm fine now. I can walk by myself. You say that, but have fun trying to get out of the car right now. Oh my. You were in such a pain before that you had to get me to carry you. Did you just want a pretty lady to be nice to you? As Takano-san spoke, she left the car and opened up her umbrella. The sound of falling raindrops was fierce as always. I carefully reached down and rubbed the ankle I twisted. There was still some pain and a little weirdness. They weren't that bad anymore. And think about actually even more now, depending on how late in the night Tomotaki Yandama, she does get killed. Oh boy. If she is like a victim number 1 this chapter again. One of the two. Oh boy. If she is their victim, like again of the curse this year, then that's one less witness. Right, Keiichi, But if not, then something's different this year then. Definitely. There's still some pain and a little weirdness. They weren't that bad anymore. Rather than being happy about how light the wound was, I first regretted this whole thing. If I hadn't twisted my ankle, I could have still taken the option of killing Takana-san right there and then. There probably wasn't much doubt. Takana-san was convinced I was involved in some sort of crime. No, probably not. If she knew about everything happening with Sadako, then she might have even guessed I killed somebody. I don't know about that, but Click. Takana-san opened the passenger side door for me. You sure you don't need my shoulders? I wouldn't mind doing it for you again. I ignored her and answered by getting out of the car by myself. Oh, you're actually better now. You had time to rest. How far away in the... How far out of town was... Did Teppy die? Like, my god, if it was enough to make you actually, like rest for quite a bit, even by car. And if you got home just to grab your shovel at 7, what time is it now? The rain was still pretty intense. I got my bicycle out of the back seat. I was a bit curious who the other bike belonged to. That didn't matter right now. It's the photographer who likes taking bird pictures. I let Takana-san hold the umbrella over me, then pushed my bicycle up to the front door. Thank you very much. What about the shovel? I'll be fine now. My ankle hurt so much earlier. It still did, but it aggravated me that it hadn't even been that bad. It was really, seriously terrible luck. Alright, I'll be leaving then. Keep it a secret. It'll be a nice evening drive together by ourselves, okay? Especially from Jiro-san. Jiro-san? Oh, she meant Tomataki-san. Either it's another joke, or she wants to keep the secret. She's up to something besides the thing. I suppose she calls him by his first name. His full name must be Jiro Tomataki-san. Like, Tomataki, then. I'm so used to saying san in that, in his name always. It's part of his name for me now. And then the other bike, the folding one in the back seat, I didn't care about it first. Something came to mind. Excuse me, you're from Hinamizawa, right? The day before yesterday, as I walked near the dam, half asleep, Tomataki-san had talked to me. The bicycle he'd been riding, it was... That bicycle in the back belongs to Tomataki-san, doesn't it? You killed someone in this route, and now it's because they actually both technically saw each other, like, the aftermath of a deed, apparently. And that's what this is leading to? Oh god, that's another interesting development. Holy shit. Takano-san's eyes, I think they sharpened for a moment. And why do you think that? I saw it when I met him before. The frame stood out to me. But, wouldn't that be odd? Do you think it's possible for this to be Jiro-san's bike? Odd. Huh? Takano-san, her hair elegantly fluttering, peers into my eyes. Well, there are no bed and breakfast in Hinamizawa, are there? Jiro-san would need to be staying in town. Is that so? Well, I guess it's right, huh? You can't really walk from town to Hinamizawa, can you? And there are no buses either. You at least need a bicycle. She didn't need to tell me that. Why are you going on telling us this? Are you trying to veer suspicion away from you? You're Lily just indulging in this because you're morbid person, like morbid, like humor, which is honestly fun, like here still. She didn't need to tell me that. That's why Jiro-san was riding a bike. For Jiro-san's bicycle to be stowed in my car, and him not in there, that would be strange, wouldn't it? It would mean Jiro-san was in Hinamizawa, without a bike. I'd had to left Jiro-san somewhere and put his bike in the car, wouldn't I? It wouldn't make sense. And she spoke. Takano-san made eyes like a hawk. Unfortunately, didn't really understand what was so odd. What about that is odd? Aren't you and Tomataki-san friends? I don't really think it would be strange for there to be some reason you had his bicycle in your car. But it would be. What I mean is, Jiro-san and his bicycle being in different places in Hinamizawa wouldn't make much sense. And for those reasons, it means his bicycle can't be his. Do you understand now? Takano-san's roundabout way of talking was hard to comprehend. That eeriness I could feel, that vague dreadfulness, I didn't like it at all. The most wild, instinctive part of me warned me not to pry. Well, yes, and to blackmail, if this is what you think it is. That's my bicycle, actually. Jiro-san picked out for me, though, so I can't deny that it looks alike. Oh, I see now. I thought it looked similar. Oh, hi. You and I never saw each other tonight. And now she's talking about something completely different. No, okay, threatening. What are you talking about? You and I never saw each other tonight. I stayed there, not knowing what to say. Takano-san repeated her eerie, sufficient phrase to me again. You and I never met this night. Read you loud and clear, lady. You and I never saw each other tonight. Something cold and unpleasant crawled up my spine. I knew because I killed a person with my own hands before. Before I came to the conclusion that I only had one chance to beat this woman to death to keep her quiet. I couldn't hesitate, so I could tell that she arrived at the very same conclusion. My instincts warned me again. I wish I never met this woman. A faint sense, like a rotten smell drifting from this woman, was no doubt the exact same sense I was giving off right now. The very peculiar aspiration, the lack of uncertainty at taking a human's life for a purpose, one that would only those who risen above everything had. Actually, maybe I should have called it a nausea. It meant... Didn't know how to explain this very well, but Takano-san was the same as me. Wow, mentor figure! Thank you, lady, for giving us tips. In other words, someone who shouldn't have been here. Someone I couldn't have let anybody know was here. Someone who nobody would have wanted to see. And now that we had, we could calmly pretend as though we never met. Yes, which meant that, just like I wanted to have nothing else to do with her, she didn't want anything to do with me either. And she, too, wanted to make it so that we never met. Both of us wished for the same thing. Our desires are the same, which meant Takano-san's suggestion was extremely practical. I'm gonna go against that? And I couldn't outright refuse. If that's fine with you, then sure, whatever. You and I didn't meet this night, okay? You're right. That would be best for you too, wouldn't it? Why do you think that? Are you seriously asking me that? You can't figure that out on your own, boy. She cut me off with the condescending word, boy. Don't you dare call me boy. I'm a manly man. That's what Keiichi would say. Right in the front of my house, the place most unsuited to the killing. You can also scream in case she decides to, like, lunge at you. Okay, there's that too. She could have had any chance to kill you as a witness, but she didn't. She made a thought to do that, but decided against it. Same way you did. Oh my gosh, the parallels are running deeper! And yet, there was a frozen thirst for blood come from both of us. I would be killed right here, right now. Yeah, I should have definitely beaten her as we passed each other. A damp, greasy sweat broke out on my body. Just continue playing dumb. That's fine. If you want me, then you can come anytime. And when I made up my mind, she shook her hair elegantly and turned on her heel. Good. I am a kind person, after all. What was good? How? Because she was a kind person? Was that it? I didn't get it. Takano-san got into her car. We didn't exchange any more words of parting. I performed a massive feat, the killing of Sadako's uncle, and yet I didn't feel any accomplishment. On the holy night of Oyashiro-sama's curse, on which the taking of another's life was allowed. On a terribly rainy night when the demons wandered, as agents of Oyashiro-sama's will. The demons were never supposed to meet, but suddenly, they did. The demons parted ways triumphantly. There was no reason for them to fight. Both their objectives had already been accomplished. With the rain hitting me like a waterfall, my eyes met with Takano-san's through the car window. The female demon, her mouth twisted into a distorted, fearless smile. It was too late to kill her. Far too late. That first moment, the very first moment we saw each other, had been my best chance. And now that we parted like this, I was acutely aware of it. I should not have let her live. She beeped her horn quickly, then her car drove away into the deluge. The one woman who knew what really happened tonight disappeared into the dark. As long as she was alive, this night would never really end. Just get into an accident, I thought to myself. Oh boy. This downpour, slip on some mud or something, and fly face first into a tree, and die. That wasn't delusion, a wild flight of fantasy. It was an earnest wish. Yes, it was a command. Die. Die. And keep your mouth shut for eternity. Because I have no doubt you're wishing for me to die all the same. My curse upon her faded emptily as Takano-san's taillights disappeared into the utter darkness. Well, that's one phase of your life now over with. Have fun living the rest of your life with all this knowledge all in hand. And you can't say anything about it. Have fun with the secret for the rest of your life. Her car's lights are completely out of sight now. Even the sound of the engine faded into the sound of the heavy rain. It was inaudible now. I, too, turned on my heel. To draw the curtains on this insane night. To open my front door and end it all. I began walking towards the front door. I was covered in mud. It made a squishing sound with every step I took. Squish. Squish. Don't worry, Keiichi Maebara. Squish. Squish. She'll die. Squish. Squish. Her end will be as miserable as she is. I'll throw her into some flames alive, and let her dance until she's burned to a crisp. I'll burn her to ashes in the fires of hell itself, until she's roasted as much as she deserves. I wish. I really do. Squish. Huh? Just now, I hadn't taken a step, and yet a footstep. Without emotion, I turned around. If there was a footprint that wasn't my own, then it was obvious someone else was behind me. Was somebody else there? I was sick of this. Whoever it was, I was sick of everything tonight. This time, I would kill them. I'd kill them without a second thought. Oh, it's Sadako, hi. I wouldn't hesitate to turn around and dig another hole. Or just absolutely no one. But fortunately, there was nobody there. The repeat of the very first chapter. Seeing things which aren't really there. Hearing things. I wasn't going to have to kill any more people tonight. This night, I couldn't handle any more of it. Even if I heard an extra footstep each time I stopped, I put it down to me just being tired. Don't know if that means someone's been stalking you, or you're literally just that exhausted, or that hallucination-wise, and all that. But, wow, that was certainly one way to end a chapter. Fire from Hell, Victim of the 5th Year, oh boy. We literally have 2 more chapters to go. Achievement unlock, taking extra steps. Very much more. Okay, the police are gonna find that shovel in the forest unless Keiichi remembers and tries to find and take it. But just from that tip alone, I'm pretty sure the police already found the body. Oh boy. With that extra grave nearby. Yeah, have fun with that. Okay, let's see how this all goes then. This is literally all the rest of the tips. Fire from Hell. Yep, that's the phone from the police station. Oh boy. It does feel like my own breath was taken away a tiny bit. The atmosphere in that whole entire thing was great, though. Hello, do you need the hospital or the fire department? Oh, come on. The fire department. Is there a fire or some other accident? Please speak slowly and calmly. I think it's a fire. This is the blank rust area in the blank highway. I can see a ton of fire and smoke coming up from the mountains behind us. Oh. It's the same thing that happened again. But nothing happened chapter 1, though. Why is it continuing this pattern now? Nobody goes back there, so I don't know why anything got lit on fire. Anyway, I figure I should let you know. It could turn into a forest fire. I understand. I need to know exactly where you are, so please tell me your name, a phone number we can use to get in touch with you, and the exact location of the fire. Notice from the fire department headquarters. The report of a suspicious fire in the western slopes of the blank mountain. From its distance from the road, it could be a couple's bonfire, someone unlawfully burning trash. Location is deep in the woods. No homes in the area. The fire could spread. Immediately go to the site to verify. Is this the fire station? This is the blank district fire department branch. We arrived moments ago at the reported area. Fire confirmed to be a burning oil drum left in the mountains. It's the exact same oil drum, but it's someone different inside. The fire is calming, and there's no chance it will spread. And, well, in the oil drum, I think it might be a person. Like, a person burned with kerosene. Or something. Well, I think maybe we should get the police over here. Ah! Ah! There's no mistaking it. This is a person! Ugh! Yep, okay. They didn't verify who was in the oil drum, though, so I'm not gonna hold my breath yet. Victim of the 5th year. This year's curse, then. That's what it looks like. He kills them differently every year, but this is particularly conspicuous, isn't it? Clawing at your own throat. That isn't normal. Let's do the rest of the old man forensics. I'm sure we'll find some suspicious drugs. Maybe they're, like, literally just leaving out exactly it was them again because we're supposed to figure out, like, immediately that it was just meant to be them again. Thank you. Thank you for your hard work. Oh, Oji-san. Kamiyama-san and the others have arrived. Oji-san, much appreciated. Let's see, we have a pretty crazy one this year. Yes, we've been outsmarted. I was absolutely under the impression Teppei Hojo would get killed tonight. Oh boy. Who is the deceased? Jiro Tatamataki, a photographer with a hobby for coming to Hinamizawa a few times a year. We didn't even have him marked. Wonder what happened. They realized we were watching the Hojo residents the whole time and decided to switch their target? That is oddly concerning, actually, thinking about it now. Holy shit. That is concerning. Because they were watching the residents the entire time. How did they not notice them, like, Teppei leave the house and then... Oh, God. Keiichi was sure it was the uncle, though. Unless he was completely listening the entire time, it was someone else, which is... That is not possible to consider. And of course, if we consider, like, even if this was Tomataki this whole entire time, with a motorbike, that doesn't make any sense, because he has a bike. He has a motorbike that was left at Sadako's house. And then this, how did the police not realize that Teppei left his home? Oh, that's a lot to consider just with one line. Just with one line. Did they realize we were watching the Hojo residents the whole time and decided to switch their target? Maybe. We sure flubbed this one. And there are no problems with Teppei Hojo? Correct. His daughter left for the festival in the evening, and a little while later, he left his motorbike. Oh, he saw that. His daughter came back first. Wait. Has he not come back yet? Is he still out drinking somewhere? Oji-san, you there? Call from Chief Takasugi. He's in the line, car 1. They definitely found it. I think that'd be a good time to leave us off here. 3 people were found dead, and a person has not been deemed away yet. So have fun, Keiichi. Like, this is actually what's gonna happen. I think this next chapter is really just the aftermath of that, and in chapter 12 is really just gonna be something similar to probably what happened to Mion, actually, of like Keiichi and Reina like going to confront her, like making her like surrender. No, it definitely has to be with Sadako around. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. I'll say this much though, that the whole entire scene of just like Keiichi planning everything out and all of that, and like it did actually started feeling exhausting at the end as well. Like that actually did feel like that, honestly. Oh boy. That's a lot. But definitely like literally like Takano and Tomataki are still dead after all this. After all this, they were always planned for it. Always planned. Always. So that's the pattern, but then why is the oil drum thing new now? It's the new pattern here. Because Takano wasn't found the first chapter, the first installment. Don't you dare do the whole gaslight thing, which she really was found an oil drum there. You didn't remember it. No, I definitely remember that part. Okay, okay. So why is it different now? Like this is the second time, and like, well, next one is gonna be like I'm focusing on Rika, and it's gonna be the ending of the question arcs. And if it continues there, then like, why is it so suddenly different? It'd be even weirder if like even the victims died. Like, it's the same. It's Takano and Tomataki again, but they die in a different way this time. One of those two. It just feels so weird of why it will suddenly change out of nowhere, out of the blue. What was so common about this chapter and the last one that could imply maybe some type of butterfly effect that would just imply that hey, Takano should be found by the police and not be shown not to be deemed away or gone missing. What would be then? The only thing that would be there would just the only thing that was different between the first installment and the second installment was just Keiichi was literally just having fun with his friends, but literally when the festival happened, it's because of the storehouse break-in then, and someone what? But then if it makes sense for why a killer or a culprit would want to make Takano be found, or the police noticed her break into the storehouse. The second chapter, it was that obvious, so they wanted to make it found or something like that to make a point or something like that, and made him if Mion wasn't meant to be the culprit there, or take the fall anyway to make a new sort of ritual with trying to kill the mayor, then Rika, then Keiichi and Shion. It makes sense there, but everything else doesn't. Would the police have actually caught on that they saw the storehouse was breaking into the first installment? But then again, why so different? Why so different? Now there's a third one added to the strike, another third victim, and a fourth one is probably going to be on the way soon enough, very soon enough in the coming days. And I guess we just have to, god damn it, wait and see how it all transpires then, huh? Oh boy, but we'll figure all this out for next time. So, hope a fun time watching as I am playing this. Hope you see me next time, what time that may be. And I'll hope you fantastic day.